skillfully is going to make a big difference, and the critical faculty is going to make a big difference. Does that make sense? Yeah, because there's a difference of imagining something and owning it. That's Morpheus said that to Neo in the Matrix. He said there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. And what I found is that, because people, affirmations are really big. But affirmations are for the purpose of changing deeper level values and beliefs at the unconscious level. Right? So you're saying, I'm rich. I used to run in Manhattan Beach and down the beach, and I've got avalanches of abundance falling down on me. I was broke, right? I'm rich beyond belief, and I'd imagine these things. And so we can say affirmations and do things like that, but it's kind of obsolete if you really think of the effect of just getting rid of the critical faculty and changing the value or changing the belief, which can be done in 5 minutes. You can go in specifically and exactly and change a value or change a belief inside of 5 minutes with tools of NLP, tools that we teach in our NDE trainings and our advanced trainings and stuff. You can go straight in and you can change those things. Now, you can do that in hypnosis, you can do it out of hypnosis. It depends on what context you're in. If you're in a corporate context, maybe it's not appropriate to induce a trance to do something. The same results can be achieved. Yeah. Think of pink bunnies on the hill. Yeah. So the level of skill of the practitioner and the ability to target and to actualize effective transformation within somebody is a skill that's developed over time. Here, by the end of this weekend, I told you you're going to learn an 8-step model for creating change with anybody. You'll do it, and it's a fantastic model. But there's a story that I'll share with you that came from. It was one of the chicken of the soul. I'm sounding like Jessica Simpson here. Chicken soup and soul, yeah. Sorry, Jessica. So there's a story in there about a young Indian boy, and the Indian boy is going out to catch his first buffalo, and he's walking up the hill, and his father sees him, and his father says, "Son, where are you going?" And the boy says, "I'm going to get a buffalo." And his father looks at him and he says, "But you only got one arrow in your quiver." The boy says, "That's right, Dad." He said, "Aren't you the best archer in our tribe?" He says, "Well, indeed I am." He said, "And didn't you teach me everything you know?" He says, "Indeed I did." He said, "Well, if you're the best archer, you taught me everything I know, I should just need one arrow to go down and catch my first buffalo." His dad laughs and he says, "Well, the reason I'm the best is not because I can shoot the farthest or shoot the straightest." He said, "The reason I'm the best is because I've made some distinctions that other people haven't made. And that is, you never know if the wind's going to be coming from, above you or below you on a horizontal plane from the left to the right. If there's going to be, some sort of type of territorial geography that you got to work with." He says, "There's so many different things that you need different types of arrows for, that I know how to pick the perfect arrow to catch that buffalo." Does that make sense? Yeah. So this weekend you're getting one great arrow for your quiver. Yeah, this 8-step process is an amazing arrow. You're actually going to get a couple other arrows for the quiver as well. But the quiver is something that happens as a lifestyle, as a study, and I think it's the most important thing that you could ever study. And I'm real frank and up forward with you about that, because it gives you the power to literally... Why say affirmations for years and years and years when you can go inside and change a value in 5 minutes? And, what's a value? Values... If somebody doesn't value money, are they going to make much? No. No. If they don't value relationships, are they going to have great relationships? No. So you can think of the difference in hypnosis is the removal of the critical faculty, so things can go straight in. In neurolinguistics, which one would consider to be, and this is why I just combined all this stuff together, and I call it Neuro Design Engineering. And I'll tell you why as we get through the history. But in neurolinguistics, it's very specific, targeted, without a formal trance induction, and very conversational, right? And it can be very profound for change. That skill level comes with study and with practice, right? It wasn't until I got up and started teaching that I really got the power of this stuff. Because I got to one point where I thought, okay, my message to people is, you can get out of your way, you don't have to play small, you can live your greatest dreams, you can bring out the best of yourself, right? And I thought, what's my greatest fear? And when I was a kid, like, all I wanted to do was, I go back to that stage play, that Rodgers and Hammerstein, I wanted to sing in front of people, but I never believed I could. I even took singing lessons, and I was too embarrassed and too shy to tell the teacher what I really wanted. How many people can relate to something like that? Yeah. And so I thought, I've got to do it. Because if I don't do it, then I'm full of shit. You know what I mean? It's like, here I'm teaching it, so I got to do it. So I hypnotized, so what I did was, I decided that at the end of the program, Elvis, yes, this is the song I did. That's not me, that's Elvis. No. So at the end of the show, we had the show called Breakthrough to Success. At the end of the show, I would sing the song. What I didn't realize was that I missed a point. Because the first couple of times that I did it, I said, oh, I'll conquer my greatest fear. I went out, but I was playing small still. I was getting in my own way. I wasn't really opening up. And then I'm like, wait, dude, after like 2 or 3 shows, I was proud of myself for stepping up. But at the same time, I had to call myself on the fact that I didn't use the tools. I didn't use hypnosis. Because I know how to install and how to become and how to have cues and trigger points. So I went out and I started to train my brain and I retrained for the show. And I went out and I modeled who I saw to be the biggest entertainers. And I looked at what they, and it was night and day from what I was doing. And I used hypnosis to install it, and it changed my presentation. So that I actually hypnotized myself to have a cue and trigger point that when the moment that my hands went to the mic, I became Robbie Williams. He's not as famous over here as he is in, because he's a good performer. He sang that song, Angels. You know that song? Yeah. So what I got was the real power that we have to transform when we have more tools. The interesting thing about this life path for me, and now that we've got sound, we're going to be able to do the show, and I want to get into it right away, but what's been interesting in this life path, and for any of you that have ambitions to do what I do, that's the sweet spot of the diving board for me. Like I said, I trained more successful speakers, trainers, authors, coaches, consultants in 4 different countries over a decade than anybody else in the industry. We had the largest personal development presence in Australia. And in the UK, we were #2 behind Tony Robbins. Our first program in the UK, we had 6,000 people, and Tony was around 13,000 every time there. In Australia, we were doing 2,000 to 3,000 every single weekend. And there's only so much of that your body can take. But I got, when I really started to use it, how I had to use the tools to bring myself and bring my presence to a place where I could really shine. And that came a decade into the work, you know? And so when I look back at what's the difference between a guided meditation and this, there's so many different intricacies in this that while you get certified here, you can always learn more, right? I asked before, who here's a martial artist? Raise your hand if you're a martial artist. Yes. And I'm just curious, what do you study?
It's MMA.
Oh, it's MMA. Do you guys study together? No. Okay, what do you study?
I've studied over 20 years.
20 years, lots of different stuff, yeah. So, in the martial arts, who gets the black belt? Is it the person who read the book on the martial arts? Hardly, right? Is it the person who watched the DVD, The Secret to the Martial Arts? Is it the person who went to the weekend seminar, learn martial arts? That's not the black belt. The black belt is the person who had the discipline to show up and practice day after day after day and makes it a lifestyle.